Shifting focus to the other key development we are tracking, the Red Sea flashing red again. After Hormuz, the next pressure point is the Bab al-Mandab, the narrow gate that could jam global trade in a heartbeat. Now, the Houthis are basically threatening shipping there, and Saudi Arabia is warning of force. The world's supply chains, supply lines back in the firing line. Our next report decoding what all of this really means for global energy markets. How does it impact you? And how it could also impact your pocket.
It begins with a warning shot, then the market panic follows. One choke point is already strained. Now another could be dragged into the storm. Bab al-Mandab, the narrow strait between Yemen and the Horn of Africa, is no side note. It is a gate through which oil, cargo and war risk all pass at speed. The threat is simple and brutal. If the Houthis move to choke this route, the consequences could spread far beyond the Red Sea. Ships would be forced to divert, transit times would jump, insurance costs would soar, oil prices could spike massively. After squeezing Hormuz, Iran's Houthi allies have turned to the Red Sea gateway as a new pressure point. As seen in this map, Houthi forces have declared a strict maritime embargo against Saudi Arabia at the Bab al-Mandab Strait that handles roughly 4 to 7.4 million barrels of oil and petroleum products per day. This amount equals about 5 to 7% of total global oil trade. These are the images of Houthi supporters' rally in Sana'a after armed forces announced the navigation ban on Saudi Arabia.
Yemen is moving forward with a continued comprehensive escalation, first through the naval and air blockade across all parts of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Major foreign companies, including American, British, and other companies investing billions of dollars, will be targeted.
Saudi Arabia and the Houthis traded fire last week for the first time in years, threatening a 2022 truce that has held despite expiring. The exchange of strikes was set off when an Iranian plane attempted to land in Sana'a, challenging Saudi Arabia's hegemony over Yemeni skies. Houthis also warn of inflicting harm of Saudi oil facilities. The kingdom produces over 10 million barrels of crude per day for energy imports.
We say to the Saudi aggression that if you fire at any aircraft that comes to Yemen, or if you fire at Yemen, then we will target your petroleum facilities and we will target your airports and we will target your families.
Analysts say the danger is not just another clash at sea. It is the prospect of two critical maritime arteries being hit at once, with Hormuz already disrupted and Bab al-Mandab now under pressure. For shippers, the nightmare is clear. One blocked route can be absorbed. Two choke points at the same time could remake trade flows, drag freight rates higher and deepen the shock across energy markets. Bab al-Mandab is not just geography, it is a pressure valve, and right now it is hissing. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Switching gears, the Farnborough Airshow in the UK opened with defense and aircraft orders in focus as the wars in Ukraine and West Asia drove demand for stronger air defense capabilities. Defense companies made up half of a record 1,600 exhibitors at this year's show, highlighting a shift from the commercial aviation roots of an event that began way back in 1948 as a showcase basically for British aerospace technology.
It's day 2 of the Farnborough Airshow here in the UK. There's massive footfall taking place, well over 100,000 people in attendance. And Day one concluded on a big high. They're seeing one of the highest numbers here at the air show, one of the biggest in the world. 36.2 billion pounds worth of orders that were completed. These are purchases of aircraft from Airbus and Boeing, and this includes helicopters. There were well over 200 firm aircraft orders, and those were the numbers. Along with that, nearly 450 firm engine orders, which have also been placed. Now, these orders largely shape the aerospace structure and the industry all across the world. These engines are from LEAP and Pratt & Whitney. Pratt & Whitney engines are the ones which are used in the F-15s, F-16s, the F-35s, the F-22 Raptors. And F-35 is here on display. It's one of the headlining acts. Major presence here today as well. Lots more that will be shaping up. India has a major presence here at the Farnborough Airshow.
And among the biggest attractions this year, next generation counter drone technologies designed to distinguish small drones from birds in real time. A capability shaped by lessons, of course, from the battlefields of Ukraine and growing drone threats around the Gulf, including Saudi Arabia and Jordan, using AI-powered sensors, radar, electro-optical cameras, acoustic detection. These systems are redefining air defense against the smallest and often the deadliest aerial threats.
Our systems have been deployed in Ukraine, and we had some great feedbacks from Ukraine. We've been working closely with the people. We have a specific task force, Ukrainian task force, that is actually talking to people on the field. And these people wanted the range of a radar is fixed. This one is from 5 to 7 kilometers. The people in the field wanted to have an extended range of 10 kilometers. We'd work with them in order to develop additional software for them to see shites coming their ways.
Another attraction at the show is the Collaborative Combat Aircraft, CCA ecosystem, where unmanned combat aircraft are basically designed to team up with crewed fighter jets, extending their reach, firepower, survivability. The U.S. Air Force is betting big on this concept, in fact, also signing a key contract on the 17th of June to accelerate the program. On display, there was the General Atomics one of the front runners in America's next generation of the AI-enabled Loyal Wingman aircraft, offering a glimpse into the future of aerial combat.
I'm standing in front of the future of aerial combat. This is the FQ-42A Dark Merlin by General Atomics. It's part of the Collaborative Combat Aircraft ecosystem. These are unmanned crewed systems. They are going to be teaming up with crewed fighter jet, and they are going to be deployed in the dozens or even in the hundreds. Just 1 month ago, the US Air Force signed its first production contract for more than 150 Loyal Wingmen. That's what they are being called. And this is part of that fleet. The US Air Force will have these deployed along with their F-35 jets. And they also have the MBDA Spear missiles, which are also mounted on the F-35. Those are going to be mounted on the General Atomics FQ-42A. It's already gone into production now. The contract has been signed. And in time to come, every F-35 in the US Air Force fleet will be deployed with maybe dozens or even hundreds of these unmanned vehicles. For WION, World is One, I'm Shivan Jannu.
The FIFA World Cup might be over. Spain celebrated its historic triumph over Argentina, but US President Donald Trump appeared to be determined to grab a share of the spotlight instead of stepping aside. After presenting the trophy during the ceremony, he lingered on at the podium, remaining front and center, it seemed, as the Spanish players were in their celebratory moment. And that awkward moment quickly became one of the ceremony's biggest talking points, with critics accusing the US president of turning a team's crowning glory into a personal photo opportunity. The celebrations appeared awkward enough that the FIFA president eventually guided Trump away, allowing the Spanish champions to have the stage to themselves and also enjoy the moment. For many observers, it was yet another unforced error, another self-goal in a presidency that has seen no shortage of headline-grabbing controversies. The man who recently criticized Spain's leader for not contributing enough to NATO spending and called the country hopeless, quote-unquote, suddenly found himself presenting the World Cup to Spain. And if that wasn't strange enough, many of the 80,000 plus spectators greeted the president with boos. One incident that also stood out and became headline news, a focal point of controversy in the 2026 FIFA World Cup, was the personal intervention by Trump following the match ban on the US striker. Following Balogun's red card, Trump reportedly called the FIFA president to request a review of the suspension, and FIFA subsequently invoked Article 27 to suspend the one-match ban for a one-year probationary period. Trump's World Cup intervention sparked global backlash, challenged FIFA's integrity, fueled concerns over America's soft power. Trump's self-goals are not limited to the football field. They are playing out on the battlefield as well. The renewed confrontation with Iran over the Strait of Hormuz is a case in point, a big one. A conflict that Trump once suggested would be over in a matter of days has dragged on, and how, with Iran refusing to back down and negotiating from a position of strength in a way. His broader objective of forcing regime change remains out of reach. The cost is mounting. The Pentagon says nearly 100 US troops have been injured in just the last 2 weeks of renewed fighting. Then came another policy U-turn. Trump announced the US would control the Strait of Hormuz and charge ships for safe passage, a move that critics said mirrored tactics long associated with Iran. But it only took 24 hours for a U-turn, less than 24 hours later, in fact. He abruptly scrapped the proposed 20% reimbursement fee. Another dramatic reversal, another self-goal. And then came Trump's face-off with the NATO over defense spending. Trump demanded that every NATO ally dramatically raise defense spending to 5% of the GDP. At the 2025 Hague summit, allies agreed to work towards that level by 2035, with 3.5% earmarked for core military spending and 1.5% for broader security investments. But Spain openly refused to sign up to the target, securing an exemption and sticking to its own spending plans, despite Trump's public pressure and threats of economic retaliation. And instead of projecting unquestioned authority, the episode highlighted basically the limits of his leverage over allies. In February this year, the US Supreme Court shut down a big chunk of the extra tariffs Trump had ordered, forcing the government to return money to the companies that had paid them. According to the budget data, reportedly, the US has paid out $81 billion in tariff refunds so far this fiscal year, which started in October 2025, compared with $5 billion during the same period. During the same period last year, in fact. And as the wildfire sent smoke billowing across the US border, Trump threatened tariffs on Canadian imports, accusing Canada of failing to control the fires. In a social media post, Trump wrote the US had been, quote-unquote, invaded by dirty air. The cost of this pollution must be added to the tariffs Canada is currently paying. The move stunned many observers. Canada is not just America's largest trading partner, after all. It's also one of its closest allies, sharing the world's longest undefended border and deep military ties through NORAD and NATO. Critics argued that targeting an ally over a natural disaster risked straining a crucial partnership without addressing the underlying crisis. Instead of putting pressure on an adversary, Washington found itself locked in a dispute with one of its closest friends, turning another tough-talking threat into a diplomatic self-goal. Shifting focus, the president of Nicaragua has declared there will be no more elections in the country. Can you believe this? But why? According to him, to allow the opposition to take power, he has reinforced his grip on the Central American nation after nearly 2 decades in office and speaking during ceremonies marking the 47th anniversary of the revolution there. The 80-year-old leader dismissed any possibility of future elections that could bring his political rivals to power. He's a former Marxist revolutionary, remember, who first rose to prominence after leading the revolution against a US-backed dictatorship. He has governed Nicaragua since returning to power in the year 2007. His successive election victories have been widely questioned by the international community as well.
They better forget it. Here there will be no more elections, so they can try to grab the government and seize power. We are going to work with the National Assembly and the relevant organizations because we need to pass laws that will put up a wall, a barrier against the coup plotters and the traitors, so that no matter how much money the Yankees give them, they won't be able to succeed.
Just for context here, general elections had originally been expected this November, but constitutional reforms approved last year extended the presidential term from 5 to 6 years, moving the next elections to 2027. Addressing thousands of supporters, the leader accused the opposition groups, many of whose leaders are now living in exile, in fact, of working with America to regain power. Ortega and his wife, the vice president, have ruled the country with sweeping authority for nearly 2 decades now. His government has faced widespread international criticism over its treatment of political opponents and its crackdown on anti-government protests in 2018, during which, remember, the United Nations says more than 300 people were killed. Opposition groups in exile continue to call for increased international pressure to restore democratic elections, while concerns over the country's political future remain a focus of global attention as well. Time now to get you some offbeat stories. We're starting off with what's happening in Sri Lanka. It's turning to drones in order to fight its worst dengue outbreak in nearly a decade. Air Force drones are being used to identify stagnant water and potential mosquito breeding sites in hard-to-reach areas. In fact, the country has recorded over 76,000 dengue infections and 53 deaths since January. The outbreak has been linked to a more virulent dengue strain, with about 75% of the cases linked to the strain. Take a look.
I had some instructions from my family doctor. Then he asked me to stay at home because my the platelet count is not too much down. Then I did my home meditation at home because too much patients are in the hospital, in the government and the private hospital.
Let's just break this down. This drone operation is part of a wider government response. Military and police teams are inspecting homes, construction sites and schools for mosquito breeding sites. The Air Force is also supporting the dengue prevention operations nationwide. The outbreak is straining Sri Lanka's hospitals. More than 18,000 cases were recorded in the first 2 weeks of July itself. Hospitals have added beds, converted wards, extended staff working hours as well.
It's challenging to the doctors because it's a rapid increase of patients. Like all of a sudden you get a big bulk of patients coming into the hospital. So it's challenging. So challenging to the doctors, nurses, the health administrators, everyone. So because you have to use the same resources that we had before.
And with hospitals under pressure, doctors are advising the patients with mild dengue symptoms to recover at home. Authorities are also considering introducing a dengue vaccine. But experts warn its benefits could be limited as multiple virus strains circulate. Authorities expect the cases to ease as monsoon rains weaken in August. But infections could also rise again. For now, drones are giving the health teams a new way to find the hidden breeding sites. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.